Today I have 10 decks that will help you hit 6 wins in the Brawl. Now some of these decks have new cards with, for example, the new Herald cards, but others are very free to play friendly. Now let's not waste any time and jump right in with the very first deck here. It is the Death Knight. You've probably seen Death Knight a lot in the Brawl if you've played it or on streams. And yeah, Death Knight is really strong and it's probably the best choice if you want to go the free to play route. And the first Death Knight deck I have here is the triple Unholy deck. This one is really good at getting on board because the Brawl is really lacking a lot of board clears. So of course what you want to play then is a deck that's really good at getting on board and that just punishes you for not being able to clear the board. And this is just so good at it. I mean, of course there's a ton of early game here, a lot of ways to get on board, but even play cards like Living Paradox. That's how weak board clears are in the Brawl. And then you can punish that with a card like Grave Strength with just a few minions. It's a ton of damage, and then just more here late game. I mean, the Swarm Guard, Tomb Guardians, the Bygone Echoes one-off, the Shadows of Yesterday. I mean, just a lot of ways to get on board, and it's really hard for most decks in the Brawl to keep up with it. So quite a good choice for the Brawl. Now, there's only one new card in here. I put here the Command Claw. Now, you probably don't need it. You could probably just play another early game minion, and it's a common. So that's why I put it there. But yeah, this deck is very free to play friendly. And the second deck I have here is the new Spell Damage Mage, and this does really well in the Brawl. I went 6-1 with it, and I didn't even have Archmage Kalak in the deck. And Zeddy went 6-0 with it, but yeah, of course, he did have the Archmage Kalak. And yeah, the deck is just all about the damage. This deck has a ton of damage, as you could probably guess from the name. And it has a lot of ways to get that spell. And of course, we got the Kalak. I was also playing the new Void Drop that I don't have here, but I have it on the U where I got those runs. The Unstable Spellcast, I played 2 of those, and this is actually pretty good. Also because this is actually kind of hard to clear. 10 health on like turn 4 of the coin or turn 5 often. So if you have that, you might want to try that card out. Volcanoes was actually quite nice to finish off the opponents with some damage spells. And the rest of the deck just has a ton of damage. And then we also have the new card, Spellweaver's Brilliance. This is a really good card. You get it out on like turn 3. I got it once, 2 of these out on turn 3. It really can win any matchup because just, again, there's a lot of removal, and getting 2 0-mana 6/6 minions on like turn 3 while probably clearing the board, it's very good. So yeah, don't sleep on this card in the Brawl. And the next deck we have is the Dragon Hunter, and I believe No Ends went 6 wins for this list. And yeah, there's a ton of new good dragon cards with Cataclysm. Of course, we got some neutral cards for like the Darkskill Broodmother, but especially the class cards for Hunter are extremely good. First of all, we got the Stone Talent Striker, so often, yeah, turn 3 is 6/6, quite alright. And then the MVP maybe is the Ebonskill Scout. Yeah, this deals 8 damage or even more. I was playing actually the new Shadow Card Supply run in it, and that worked out quite well, but this is a bit of a different list, but that one can buff it. It even keeps the buff after you transform it, so if you draw this for Supply Run, it's a 6/6, but then when you transform it, it becomes a 10/10. So keep that in mind. But yeah, this is so much damage. It's insane. It just wins so many games. And especially with all the other dragon cards, it's really easy to push that damage. Another new card we have is Abyssian. Now, I did have this on my U account where I played all the Brawls that you can watch back, by the way, in the VOD here on the channel. But the Abyssian, it's a really good late game. It really helps you just keep control of the board. Problem is though, yeah, it's 7 mana, but once you get this down, you pretty much win the game because you just never lose the board anymore. And the rest of the game, yeah, you just want to curve out, right? Just try and hit that perfect curve 1, 2, 3, 4 with those big dragons, and you're kind of good to go. And here we have our first Herald deck, and I believe Zeddy got 2 times 6 wins for this list, so it has to be good if you can go 6 wins twice with this. Just the classic Zeddy RNG. But yeah, this one, it's still using Shadow Step because for some reason in the Brawl, the core set is the current core set in Standard, not the one with Cataclysm. So you can actually still use cards like the Shadow Step, like the Nomelia, like Tess, and yeah, that is making quite a big difference in this kind of Brawl. Because all those random cards you get with the Herald cards, with Sinestra, you can just replay it with Tess and then Shadow Step it and replay it over and over. And yeah, again, no board clears really very much in the Brawl. Decks just struggle with that. So that is quite strong with this deck, and yeah, just pretty fun. It looks like, right? Just it's always fun getting random cards, trying to figure out what to do with them. So if you got the new Rogue cards, Sinestra, and the Maniacal Follower, then this might be a list for you. And here we have our second Death Knight list, and this one is a little bit newer, has a few more cards, a little bit more expensive than the previous deck. And this is the Herald Death Knight, so it's obviously about the Onyxia. Sadly, I didn't pack Onyxia. I really wish I did, but yeah, Onyxia really strong. Also because we're running the Memoria Manifest, which means you resurrect Onyxia Onyxia, which then means that you get the Onyxia back and the appendages. That means the effect goes on, which means you probably get 8 drops if you fully herald it, and then you get another 16 health of it, and yeah, that just kind of wins the game in the late game. So that's extremely powerful, and yeah, the rest, you've probably seen it before in the standard ladder, you know, like we got like Pyro Poison Breath, I mean Vampiric, just Corpse Explosion, just kind of classic Blood Death Knight cards here with the added Herald cards in there to win the game. And yeah, this looks pretty good if you have the cards. I hope I get some of these cards soon because I really want to play with this deck. So we've seen the Unholy Death Knight, the Blood Death Knight, and now we got the third Death Knight with the Frost Death Knight. And this one is also very, very popular just because it's really good. And of course, it doesn't really run any new cards. And yeah, that just helps so much in this brawl not having to run those new cards. And yeah, this deck is just very strong. Just a good aggressive deck. Get on board early on, and then you have so much damage and freeze. And that's just really powerful because not a lot of decks actually kill you from hand, so they have to win on board. And then when you keep freezing with like Time Stop, with the Frostbrim's Fury, and then they clear with like Nomelia after that, and yeah, it's just really hard to get on board, and that's why you keep pushing that damage. Also, what we have here is the Remorseless Winter, not the greatest card. You know, it's like a Consecrate that draws for 1 more mana. But the thing is that those Unholy Death Knights and maybe other aggro decks, they might be pretty popular, and then this deck can actually handle those boards for a little bit, or at least until you win the game. So that's why it's there. So if you're looking for another free-to-play deck, then you can either pick the Unholy Death Knight or this Frost Death Knight. Both are just really good at getting to 6 wins. And the next Herald deck we have here is the Herald Warrior, which obviously is about Ragnarok's the Great Fire. And that card just wins games when it comes down, when it's fully heralded, because just like there's not a lot of board clears in this brawl, there's also not a lot of health gain outside of, say, that the Death Knight deck with Onyxia. There's not a lot, even in the Warrior deck, right? You can see here, there's only really Shield Block that gains you health. So yeah, there's really not a lot of health gain. So all these fireballs that you get from Ragnaros, like the 8 damage this one, or the appendages, the Soldiers of Ragnaros that you get by just playing Herald, yeah, they deal a lot of damage. And on top of that, yeah, this deck is pretty good at keeping the board under control. And then we have the Time Twisted Seer, and this can make some damage spells really, really strong. I mean, it works really well with the Torch. The Searing Fissure just becomes a big AoE for those token decks like the Unholy Death Knight, and that's why there's no brawl, because we try and focus on that. And there's a lot of small removals in this deck as well. And also, don't sleep on Erupting Volcano. I thought it wasn't too good, but when I played it with the brawl, it's pretty nice. You can either like play this first and then finish off some minions with Torch, or you go Torch first, clear the boards, and then you have a 6 damage or total 18 damage Erupting Volcano. And for 3 mana, 18 damage is pretty strong. And I think it was Fino that showed that it got 6 wins with this. So nice deck if you want to play some Warrior with the Herald cards, as long as you have the cards. And here we have yet another Herald deck, the Herald Shaman. And yeah, just like the other Herald decks, the Herald Payoff, the Colossal is extremely strong. Alak here, Lord of Storms. Just once it comes down, it just wins games. The minions are super strong that you get of those. But until you get there, you have to get through the early game. And honestly, the early game of this deck feels kind of like old school Shaman with like a Flame Tongue Totems, where you just had to keep efficiently trading and really keep the board positioning in mind. So now always, if you play a Herald card, the Herald card always summons on the right side of it. So generally you want to play like the Skywall Sentinel on the left side of the board, so the minions on the right side get buffed as well, plus this Taunt. And some other new cards we're running besides the Herald cards are the Crackling Cloud Strider, so that can either get Farsight or the Ceremonial Clash. Like, Farsight isn't the greatest, but I also didn't want the Crackling Cloud Strider to just not have any targets, so that's why we're running 4 targets for it. And yeah, it's pretty nice if you get to play this with the Ceremonial Clash. Really good board, especially again if you play the Herald cards next to it. That basically gets you a Flame Tongue, even better, plus 4 attack once you have heralded 4 times. That's really good. And here we have another very free-to-play friendly deck in like the Shred Warlock. Having a lot of the cards, obviously, from the last expansion, the Shred package with like Ruinous Velocidrake, Fatebreaker, Tachyon Barrage, and the buff here, the Entropic Continuity. The only cards we have from the new set is the Carry Up. Again, this is just a common, and if you don't have it, you can probably play some other early game cards instead, but I feel like it's a common, and you kind of want to have the Dragon to have the Prescient Slitherdrake be active as well. So if you just got a few packs, you probably have 1 or 2 of those. And yeah, this deck is just a very aggressive deck, right? You just want to play a bunch of 1-drops on the board, then buff it. Now, do keep in mind with this deck, though, there is 1 banned card in this brawl, and I probably banned it for good reason, the Twilight Time Hopper, because this deck might have just dominated with it. So you have 2 less cards that shuffle those Shreds of Time, which means that the Entropic Continuity and the Attacking Barrage get a bit more important, so keep that in mind when you play this deck, that you aren't stuck with these Fate Breakers and the Velocidrakes and don't have a Shred of Time. But I think you can still do it. This feels like the best deck after Death Knight if you don't have any of the new Cataclysm cards. And the Druid deck I have for you today is the Token Druid. Now, I've not really seen many Dragon Druids with like the new Legendary Merithra, but the Token Druid deck seems pretty good because there's just a lot of early game in the Brawl, and just like a lot of the other decks we've seen, is playing a Dragon package because the dragons are just really, really strong. And we got Wicker Fang. That's really good. Again, like a board clears, this comes on the board and your opponent doesn't clear it. You kind of just insta-win. The new Shadow card, it's pretty nice. Just I've seen boards on like turn 3 full board with the Death Rattle. Like that's pretty good. And then don't underestimate the new card. There it is, the Felwood Treant. I mean, this costs anything you spend. You don't have to spend it on cards, so you can like hero power twice, and this is active. It's a 1 mana 2/2 by itself, but when it's active, it's also a Wild Growth on top of it. And I mean, that's incredibly powerful. One of the strongest cards from the set. And you can use that here, and yeah, just a bunch of other ways to get on the board with this deck. And with that extra money you have with that Treant and the Aura as well, you can just overwhelm your opponent on the board with this deck. If you want to see gameplay of the Brawl, you can watch my video right here where I streamed it for 6 hours, or catch me live streaming the Brawl right here on YouTube or on Twitch. And I'll probably be playing the Brawl until the next expansion launches. Thank you for watching, and until next time.